And we're back. Game number 2, Na'Vi taking on EG here in the D2L Western Challenge. And yeah, we're going straight Bill O'Reilly up in this piece. We're just going to do it live because we had to switch out some equipment, and pretty much just going to be me running the show now from XSplit here on the PC. So don't have to, not going to get to see the studio, not going to get to see me, but it's all right. We're going to get to see some good Dota. And of course, we'll have Tralf aboard to help break down all of the insight and analysis once again. And very sorry about that delay, my friend. Of course, sorry to our viewers. But I wanted to make sure we weren't giving people epilepsy and seizures with the red flashes that have seemed to have plagued the broadcast for the last couple of days. So, yeah, Tralf, looking back at Game 1, really, the draft, it was Na'Vi's draft, and, and obviously it all comes down to play as well, and Dindy played phenomenal, as did Funnick. But I just feel like Puppy was one step ahead of PPD in Game 1, and now EG finds themselves in a win-2 or take a loss kind of a situation. And, even if they do lose, it's not going to be the end of the world, as they are undefeated right now, sitting at 4-0. But certainly they would like to finish their record, if possible, unblemished. And hopefully Tralf can hear me. Hopefully he's aboard and has his mic muted.
Yeah, I had the wrong mic active. My God, shoot me, please. Just a day of mechanical issues, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But Na'Vi, they take first pick, and they're very comfortable now. It seems with the Ancient Apparition. It's not exactly like I don't know. In my mind, it's not exactly like first pick worthy, like an Ember or a Lycan or something like that. But apparently, it is for Puppy, as he first picks it with the first pick he has. Naga Siren Mirana quickly taken here by PPD. So it looks like they really want access to the Mirana, and they're taking it early because Na'Vi last time banned it out in the second banning phase. So instead of Naga plus, I believe it was Darkseer last time. I'm not 100% sure. They go with the fast Mirana pick from Mason. Most likely will be playing that.
Yeah, Mason definitely griped a little bit about that, the fact that it seems like PPD only picks him 2 heroes, Mirana and Weaver most of the time. So, but yeah, going back to the Naga Siren, take some guts, just knowing what you're good at and knowing that, hey, just because it didn't work one game doesn't mean it won't work in another. But Na'Vi with a very similar look, grabbing up the AA and the Rubik. And, on the topic of AA, so far as being first pick, first ban worthy, I want to agree with you, but really when you think about the strength of the hero, he basically fits into anything you want to do, literally anything. If you want to run straight defensive, you could do that. If you want to run an aggressive tri lane, you can do that as well. If you want to go pure team fight, you can do that. If you want to play defensive and try to deal with split pushing, he's actually excellent at dealing with split pushing because you can scare off just about anyone from across the map if you manage to hit your ultimate. He's just wide open. So when you draft him out early, he's a strong pick that's going to work in the laning phase in any way. He's actually really good to gank as well, especially with heroes like Rubik, who can use telekinesis to pull a hero out of position, and they have to run back past the cold feet cast point, meaning a much higher likelihood that it's going to proc. It's wide open for Na'Vi, and I really do like lineups that are drafted that way when there's a lot of ambiguity left to things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Clockwork now picked up quickly by EG, and I wonder if they're going to do Naga mid again. I think they are, but again, last game when they had it, it was essentially a one core, and I'm not a fan of one core lineups. And honestly, every single time I've seen it, it never works for a team because all you have to do is just focus on shutting that hero down early on or just any point in the game, and then the lineup just kind of folds whoever has that one core lineup. So if they can get more heroes, and not necessarily like they need more cores, but heroes that are more tanky and can be reliable in their own right. Like, I don't know, it just for last game, Darkseer and Timbersaw just didn't cut it. And since they had a very, very strong mid solo against Naga, it didn't work out at all. And also, I think we talked a lot about Dendy and the draft and everything, but I think that EG was a little over aggressive, honestly, in their trialing. We didn't talk about that too much, but Universe died a lot of times. He was 4-7, like 2 at one point, I believe. Yeah. And I think they needed to play that just a little more passively. I think they tried to jump the gun and just felt pressured to do something and got to shut Lycan down and we got to win this lane because we're aggro.
Right.
And I think it was actually the thought of we got to win this lane because mid's getting crushed. Right. And you don't want to be put in that mental position.
No, I agree with you. And I think you bring up a couple of things that are excellent points, namely the fact that one, the way Timbersaw and Darkseer tend to work with a lineup is they just make a strong lineup better and more well-rounded. There are a lot of things you can do with them. They're very strong in a variety of settings and so on. But whenever you end up, like you said, kind of giving away too much early on. Timber gave away a lot of farm to Funnick, and even though, I mean, it wasn't as if Mason played terrible. I mean, he had a few missed Timber chains here and there, missed with his Chakram once or twice on kills that maybe he could have gotten. But for the most part, it just felt like you said, they lacked that nucleus that you usually want to have heroes like Timbersaw and a Darkseer around. And whenever they started to fall behind, whenever Arteezy was late in developing his items and developing just even as a hero and being able to contribute, it was very kind of just thin is the word I would use. It felt very thin in terms of what options EG actually had. But taking a look at the way the draft is continuing to roll itself out, pretty much very easy to see what's going on. It's going to be a mid-Naga Siren, more than likely Mason going to be farming the Mirana with Universe on the Clockwork. Clockwork loved that pickup. And Universe's Clock, if it is going to be him, and I would imagine it would, is actually quite strong. Then you'll have PPD and Zai splitting up time on Bane +1. For Na'Vi, going to get Dindy, his Invoker, going to be back to the supports for Puppy and Kuro on Rubik and Ancient Apparition. Funnick on the Centaur. Now they're just looking for some kind of a carry. And, you know, I feel like both teams have actually drafted this really, really well. For EG, obviously, their cores came out much earlier, drafting them 1, 2, and 3. And now just finishing up with their supports. But for Na'Vi, they have a huge amount of options open to them. I do love the fact that they banned the Spectre, though. Spectre would have seemed to have been the go-to pick here based on what Na'Vi tends to like to do.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I was just going to say that I like the Spectre ban from EG. It seems like it would fit Na'Vi's lineup nicely, although it's not beside the point that EG couldn't go aggressive. Like, they still could go Mirana, Bane, plus something else if Na'Vi picked a super greedy, weak laning carry. So they still could do that because Clockwork is actually not bad against Centaur in a 1v1 matchup. So they could still do that. I expect it'll just be something standard because you can fall back on, you know, Arteezy on Naga getting free farm, and if they're able to pressure the mid hero being Invoker with, you know, some good smoking from Bane +1, whoever this hero might be, then they will probably just lane something standard. And it is kind of a bold pick from Na'Vi picking Centaur. And I mean, I absolutely love Centaur. We've seen just amazing success with teams that draft him. It is kind of scary, though, going up against what could potentially be a Bane plus Mirana plus X, whatever this last hero might be, because Centaur is not exactly the best 1v3 hero, and it's going to be CM, so that's a lot of nuke damage.
Like the CM pick, another way to set up the arrow for Na'Vi, honestly. It's so tough to aggressive trial into an Ancient Apparition and a Rubik, though. Between Fade Bolt and Chilling Touch, you're losing damage, they're gaining it. You've got one reliable, I can't really call it a disable, but semi-stun, positioning tool, and telekinesis. And it wouldn't surprise me if we saw something like a Luna pickup here for Na'Vi just to secure that. You know, having the R up, the very early R up, plus Chilling Touch would make it very prohibitive very risky, if nothing else, for EG to try and run into that, because more or less you execute perfectly, or no, they're actually going to go the Alchemist. So going more with a melee approach and going more with more stun and control and fighting around the acid spray is obviously a big problem as well. So I don't know. I actually think EG would be best served now, given it is a melee Alchemist and given the nerfs that have been put on to the unstable concoction. I think they're going to be a little bit more apt to run aggressively, and the nice benefit of that is, once again, what we saw did happen in game one. It just didn't work out in Arteezy's favor because the Quap just kind of pounded him to death. But it does make it very difficult for the supports to rotate to try and put pressure on. And Clockwork, of course, getting solo XP and solo farm in a much safer position is always going to be a benefit as well.
I don't know if EG wants to go aggressive against Alchemist. The thing against an Alchemist is if you make one misstep, it's an easy turnaround kill for Na'Vi. Not to mention, as you pointed out, they have lots of return damage with AA and the Chilling Touch. So that being said, I don't know if I'm sold on the Alchemist pick. I feel like it's going to get kited in the mid game in team fights very, very badly.
Right.
Between Net, the Clockwork hook into Cogs, they have Sleep, they have Enfeeble if they need to use it. Arrow. I mean, just lots of stuns, snares, and slows. So he's going to have to get a very early BKB. And I wonder if he's going to go for the Battle Fury as well, just to deal with the illusions in the late game. Yeah. And if he does, that means it's going to be a later BKB, unless he's getting complete free farm. And Havosta is one of the better players as far as maximizing completely your efficiency and getting every last hit. But we might see an early engagement here. 5 heroes from EG here. as there's 4 from Na'Vi.
Yep, we're going to talk about the lanes in a second. I love what Na'Vi's doing if they're going to end up doing what it looks like they're going to do, which is offensively tri-laning around the Centaur and then leaving Havos to free farm against the solo clock. I think that's so smart that it ends up working out that way, and it halfway makes me wonder if EG would rotate if they spotted it early enough. We can see a couple of wards. Yeah, they're going to spot him, so they know.
Sentry, yeah.
Yeah, they know what's going on. They're going to de-ward it, but not before they see what the game plan is going to be. And looks like they're just going to go ahead and meet this tri-lane head-on with Mason at the front of it on the Mirana. Arteezy, again, on the Naga Siren in mid with Universe. On the Clockwork. So we're going to be getting it underway in just a moment. And hopefully getting underway at a better clarity, as we are going to be dropping the stream for just a moment, but we will be right back as I request a pause very quickly. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Had to fix the clarity. I didn't want to pause it before when both teams were heading towards the bottom, just in case there was going to be action. But we are back and good to go now. So Na'Vi versus EG here in game number 2 of our leadoff best of 3 in an EG doubleheader here on the Sunday edition of the D2L Western Challenge. So taking a look at the way that everything seems to be going so far in the laning phase, who do you think is going to come out? Oh, they actually did rotate the 2 supports back up to help Havos, so they are just going to be leaving Funnick down here to lane by himself. So interesting rotation early from Na'Vi.
I didn't think that they were at all going to go aggro. I think it'd be very, very scary to do that against Bane, CM, and Mirana. So I think...
Short-sighted of you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be fine, but Havos kind of missed his block in the beginning. And again, just melees against Clockwork are very, very difficult and kind of awkward to play against. So hopefully Havos is able to get as much CS as he can, because right now he's going to fight under the tower. There is some pulling from Kuroki. He does get the connect, so nicely played by him. They're just going to have to really play their best up in this top lane, and hopefully Havos can get every single last hit. But I think the laning is fine here, and already Funnick is going straight to the jungle. I really like this, and the reason is that lane bottom is so volatile, and he is not a 1v3 hero by any means. And when he's up against these heroes, there's no way he can even get EXP. So I like this decision from Funnick to go straight to the jungle.
Yep, and you actually can jungle the Centaur semi-efficiently. I mean, he's not the fastest or the best, but you can do this, and it's a nice way to just try to guarantee that your lanes are a little bit more safe, that you don't end up giving up silly kills in situations where, like you said, he's not a 1v3 hero to begin with, and especially up against what is one of the most punishing combinations when you have Frostbite, Nightmare, and Sacred Arrow to all have to worry about. Even with boots up early on, which he didn't go, but even if he had gone boots first, there's just really no way to guarantee yourself any safety there. Universe is already up to level 2, so, but he is even beginning to play back quite a bit. He has no vision over in the jungle, so can't get too aggressive, or he could end up running into the exact same problem. Whenever you have an unstable concoction to set up a cold feet proc, it gets very, very risky very quickly.
Yep. Mid lane is relatively even right now. Arteezy trying to go, I think, to the small camp whenever he can to get some last hits and farm. And the only thing unfortunately, for Na'Vi is that they kind of wasted this bottom ward that they so adamantly placed in the beginning because Centaur's not even there. So that's the only thing. But obviously, they're still going to do okay. Last hits right now, looks like Bottom's in the lead, but relatively early on. I don't imagine any aggression will come out too early on unless it's going to be in the mid lane on Invoker. I think that's the one thing EG probably needs to do is give Arteezy as much space as he can early on. And Invoker is relatively susceptible because he is not Quaswex, so he doesn't have that that Invis, the Ghost Walk, at his disposal.
Yep. We actually see Universe eating some damage up at top. They did get a cold feet proc. It was a little interesting the way they did it. They did it from the high ground down to the low ground, but in the end makes it away with half a health bar. But like you said, I was actually going to point out the same thing on Dindy, and it's always a factor, really. Whenever you see this, the Exort Invoker build is how quickly do you get at least 1 point into Wex, especially if you're anticipating a rotation. And when, yeah, I mean, already at bottom, we could see a single pulls happen, and Sai and Mason beginning to push. We already see a rotation now from PPD under cover of smoke, and looking to make something happen against Dindy, but he does have help. Puppy's already behind him. We'll see how deeply he's going to rotate. Looks like he's just going to go suck some levels off of this bottom lane as they shove it up. That's going to leave Dindy naked and exposed here. And here we go. PPD moving in. There's the Nova to lead off, and this should be our first blood. Frostbite's there. Sunstrike went off, but too little, too late. Up here, down here at bottom. Here comes Funnick and the rest of Na'Vi trying to look for payback. Nightmare able to disjoint things long enough for Mason and Zai both to make it away, and that's actually a pretty big win for EG. Not only do they get the first blood, but they wasted a fair amount of time from the heroes of Na'Vi.
Yeah, there is a DD bottom. He might be able to snag it. No, he doesn't. Arteezy was able to get it. He's going to hit him and just do so much damage. Yep. Easy peasy kill. Here comes the hero with Dusty Puppy.
Mason tossed that from forever away. Shot that across the Ancients and managed to get the kill up atop even. Havost is beginning to take some damage from Universe. He will go ahead and use the cogs. Havost not going to be able to find him with the concoction. Now Universe is going to be able to get on him. He has a rocket flare. This might be a kill. If he gets one more auto attack plus the rocket flare, this is a complete breakdown from Na'Vi right now. They are losing every single lane.
That was, oh man. Okay, to start things off, this is what happened. You mentioned the single pole bottom, so they were pushing up bottom very, very hard. And PPD was off the map, and what Puppy actually pinged out, he thought that he was smoking behind. So Puppy ran this way to try to block the smoke, or to reveal the smoke of CM, but they didn't expect that CM was mid instead. Yep. So they got the kill on a Dendi, and then just crap happened bottom. They tried to snag the
at top, 1 second. Yep. Universe brought down. It was well timed. Kuro caught him with the telekinesis after the unstable concoction, and Dendi, of course, helping out the Sunstrike from mid. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, nicely played there. They needed that desperately, but they tried overly to get that rune away from Naga. But Naga's movement speed is so high with boots early on. It's 370, and was able to get the DD and then the great arrow from Mason. So fantastic start to EG. And I think the biggest thing here is that this is all helping out specifically Arteezy. He's going to have unmitigated free farm, and he's going to continue to bottle Crow. He's already got 2K and boots right now at the 6-minute mark. This is what he had last game at around the 12-minute mark.
Yeah, no joke.
Naga's going to come online so freaking fast.
Midas picked up by Havost, so not looking to slouch in the farm department himself, even though he did give up that early death. He is going with a Max Greevil's Greed build as well. 1 point into Acid Spray, 1 into Concoction, and then 3 into Greevil's Greed so far. But Universe is in great position as well. With that rotation to bottom that went so poorly for Na'Vi, that freed up a lot of space for him. He's up to level 6 already. He's actually right behind Dendi in terms of net worth, so certainly helped out by that kill as well. They're going to try to gank on Havost. Universe has full mana, has a hook. PPD's going to be there. He's going to be cogged in. Here comes the TPN as well. And Havost's going to drop immediately as the nuke from the Brain Sap with the Frostbite and the Nova and everything else from EG. Takes him down very quickly, and this is just an awakened EG squad. They are playing so much better here in Game 2.
Well, I like their draft, first of all, a lot more, and they're already seeing the effects of this Alchemist pickup, I feel, for Na'Vi. I'm not a fan of this pick. I don't think, like, he's already having a hard time because it's up against Clock and lots of stuns, but come mid-game, he's not going to have a BKB early because he's not farming well, and he went Midas, so it's going to become even later. I just feel like the Alchemist is not going to be able to get spells off or be in the front lines at all. He needs a BKB so badly. Uh-oh, action more on mid.
Yep.
Dendi, he's in trouble. Hook off the mark because he's already dead. Doesn't need it. So, yeah, Ishii's just banging on all cylinders here. And again, I don't know what the fallback plan is here for Na'Vi. I think it's going to have to be Funnick. It's going to have to be Funnick, but he's almost level 6, so that's good for him, but nowhere near a blink.
Rotation from Universe coming back towards top. Hook is on cooldown for the moment. Zai's going to be there. They got to be careful. There are 3 heroes here, even though they may not be aware of it. There's actually going to be a Fiend's Grip used on Havost, and Havost is going to pop his ulti, try to get away. Nice stun from behind from Kuro. That'll save them. And he's going to have to move away. There's the power of Stampede. We just got to look at it. And the unstable concoction. Enough to ward them away. But the 2 big ultimates, Stampede plus Moonlight Shadow, deployed at the same time. And there's going to be a Nightmare on the Puppy. Universe right beside him. Telekinesis to bring him back. There's going to be Cold Feet. He actually stuns Zai with it. But looks like they are going to try to collapse on mid now. Dendi has 2 hanging around. That's going to be Arteezy and PPD, who's sucking some solo experience. Mason being a little aggressive with Funnick. And yeah, Arteezy is going to go ahead and back up for the moment. But looks like Na'Vi has to send a couple back. So just for a moment, I'm going to check my Dota settings because I think... Nope, I should be going in. I just noticed that... There it is. It wasn't showing up, but hopefully it was active in game the whole time. I was looking for the chat bubble that wasn't showing up in the bottom right. But in the meantime... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, Mirana gets the... Oh, almost gets the arrow off
so
on the
close.
Funnick. He has a Starstorm, but wasn't able to get in range. Mid, Arteezy's just playing very aggressively here, and he can't. I was going to mention, I've seen him do this a couple of times, and I want to pick his brain and ask him when I get a chance, because I know this is a conscious decision, but he's not maxing Riptide. He only got it to level 3, and he's keeping it at level 3 for the moment. And I'm wondering why, because it just seems kind of interesting to me. It gives you extra damage, gives you extra armor reduction, and I don't know. It's very curious to me. Dendi taking so much damage right now from Naga alone.
Yep.
But
so strong. Okay, already has up drums, Aquila. And like you said before, he's got basically the net worth he was looking at 20 minutes. This time he has it at 10. Up at top, we're going to have an engagement on Havos. They're going to get him again. He ends up dropping, and they're trying to chase down Naga, but Funnick can't catch up. And Navi's going to have to dig their heels in, because right now there's going to be a stampede. A big pick on Naga would be valuable. Funnick can catch him. And nope, there's the song. They're all 3 grouped up.
Croaky's dead.
Yep. Here comes everyone in, and Universe catches 2 with the cogs. That's going to be KKY and Funnick. Dindy could be in trouble. PPD has him on the high ground. Behind that, nice and snare, and Universe able to survive because of it. PPD ends up being traded away, but that's a 4-for-1 exchange, as EG is just blowing this early game wide open. 10-2 now at 10 minutes in. And you can see they've built, after this tower drops, it's going to be close to 6,000 gold lead they've amassed in just 10 minutes. So as dominant as Na'Vi looked in Game 1, EG's returning the favor here in Game 2.
Yeah, this draft is just owning so hard. And EG's supports are really good about moving around. Like, they're one of the best. Like, they move constantly, and they never stand still. They don't just play passively. They like to get stuff done, and they like to do stuff. And that early rotation mid from PPD really set it off. You had some rotations up top. Not to mention, though, Universe got solo kills, so he's doing his own thing.
And here we go. Zai and Mason getting into position. This would be a bad situation they'd be engaging into. Funnick is very low. Let's see if they want to get cute. And Mason, I don't know if he got spotted. Yep, they pinged it. Immediately pinged by Puppy. They saw it coming. Moonlight Shadow's going to be popped. Up at top, we can see Universe is going to rotate towards where they think they are. And Invoker, Forge Spirit, unable to spot them. They're all grouped up. They're going to smoke on their own. This should be revealed. Universe, they're going to run right into Universe, and he's going to get the cogs down right now. Nope, too quick on the reaction. Arrow's actually going to split the wickets as well. Now the Stampede. Now's Navi's time for payback. Catching up with Mason. He already spent the leap. He should end up dead here, and will. Gets off a little bit of damage. Actually manages to bring down Funnick, who used the double edge for reasons that are beyond me. That was an unnecessary death completely. It was 5-on-1. There was no leap, and they did not need that kind of burst. They ended up dead because of it. But a nice piece of payback for Na'Vi, and they run EG back to their side of the map.
Yeah, there's definitely good kills, but they're doing this with 5 heroes running around collectively.
Yeah.
Whereas Arteezy's taking towers by himself. He's going for a different build, by the way. He's got Boots of Travel now and Drums of Endurance instead of the straight Radiance. And I think maybe it's because they're dominating so hard that maybe he just wants extra stats and the ability to be able to, and the opportunity to be able to fight with his team early on.
Yep.
So
I honestly think it's maybe him learning a lesson from Game 1. And not to say it's going to be like, I can never rush Radiance on Naga again. Nothing like that. But against Na'Vi in particular, just, you know what? We need to be able to bring you to fights earlier. So we need you to do more of a hybrid build. Hold on. Zai has Fiend's Grip up and hasn't gotten it off yet. They're going to try to engage off of it. Everyone from EG's there. A Ultimate's coming in. That's going to catch Zai. Zai gets off the grip on the Dindy, though, and he drops. And Universe came in. I didn't even see where he was going. But, he actually got it behind it.
Jeez.
And that's another mega kill. This time for Arteezy. 14-4. And EG is just firing on all cylinders, man. It's 13 minutes. They're going to take this tower and be just shy of 10,000 gold lead in 13 minutes. That's how dominant the early phase of this game has been for them. There's only 2 outer tier towers remaining for Na'Vi right now. That's tier 2 top and tier 2 bottom. All outer tier towers still remain for EG.
They're playing like they're pissed off, man.
For sure.
They were embarrassed last game, so they didn't want that to happen again. But yeah, it was really fun to watch that fight too, because they all spread out their targets perfectly. It was like one person knew that this person was going to die, so I'm not going to waste my spells and time on this person, so I'm going to go to this person instead. And then the universe said, well, I'm not going to waste my spells on that person because they're dead, so I'm going to go hook Kuroki instead. and they were able to spread out all their spells evenly and still get kills on 3 different heroes. So that was really well played. You could see other teams just try to just secure a kill, but they're looking the next step ahead, and it's really paying dividends.
Yeah. Na'Vi does, I mean, EG's playing really well, but Na'Vi has seemed a little out of sorts, really. Couple of, you know, not necessarily bad calls, just, you know, you read a situation, you go, well, it could be A or it could be B, and you say, well, it's going to be A, and it turns out to be B. That's really bitten them in the butt, though. They, like that early kill on Invoker, like you said, and this is why I love your insight, is basically explaining to everyone why Puppey rotated a certain way and what he had guessed and why it was wrong and why that consequence mattered. Another Moonlight Shadow. Universe has the hook on the ready. And fires off the rocket. There's going to be a hook on the Kuro. Havos is on the high ground. Already the Blade Mail's done. Arteezy is going to follow this up. Has Song if he wants to use it and will. There are 3 grouped up behind that Dindy trying to run to the fight, and they're going to immediately disengage. Havos locked down and will end up dying immediately. There's Zai with the Fiend's Grip onto Phonic, but the Stampede helps to disjoint it after the Cold Snap. Knocked him out of the channel. Good Force Staff got Zai to safety, and Dindy going to be pursued out now. Let's see if they can catch him. Kuro's back up. Arteezy's right on him, has it snared right now. And there you go. Mason right there, and another kill, and they're going to get Kuro again as well. Kuro coming out to do what he can. They're just feeding at this point. Havos comes in on Universe. What? They're nope, didn't make it away. GG.
GG.
15 minutes. 15 minutes. 21-4. And I think you really nailed it, man. I think there at the end, what it comes down to was EG did not like the way it felt to get blown out in Game 1. Had a better draft in Game 2. And it just felt like Na'Vi got out of sorts early. Like, you know, you could just tell sometimes a team is kind of scrambling. And that was kind of the impression I got there.
Yeah, this is where Arteezy says, first game of the day, boys. As he really showed here how well he can play Naga and how active. Like, the thing about him, too, is that he could have easily just gone for 12-minute, you know, Relic into Radiance, 13, 14 minutes, and just farm. But he was active this game. He wanted to participate. He wanted to get kills. Also, look at PPD's score. He's 0-1 and 15. He was part of 15 out of 21 kills. Actually, so was Universe. He was 7-2 and 8.
Yep. And
not to mention, too, as we talked about, that he got a solo kill onto Havos up top. And that's also just, I mean, that's good play by Universe. And I think it's just the nature of the matchup. Like, Clockwork is so good against melee heroes, and Alchemist in particular. I don't know. I'm like I said, I wasn't sold at all on the Alchemist pick.
Yeah, me either.
Obviously, they had other plans and an idea of their own, as Puppey's a fantastic drafter, but I don't know if that was the best pick here. I think they needed a range carry for sure against Clockwork. So.
I would have loved the Luna. I think the Luna, I'm not going to say it would have changed things because EG played so well, but I think it would have been a different laning situation. And I think, yeah. Enough about that. EG takes a huge win and forces a Game 3 here in today's D2L Western Challenge. You're not going to get to see me on screen this time. Oh, boo-hoo. I know. I'm sure you're all weeping because we did have to switch it up. Hopefully, everything went a little more smoothly here in Game 2. I'll be confirming with Conrad shortly, but at the very least, no red flashes. Make sure you check Tralf and I out on Twitter. It's at TRALF Dota. And at EC, at AYESEE. You can also check out all of your D2L updates regarding this season and everything in the future by looking up D2LGG. It's at D2LGG on Twitter and, of course, on Facebook as well. Just D2LGG. We're going to Game 3, and we'll be bringing you that action in just a moment. The front end of our EG doubleheader going to be reaching its conclusion shortly. Stick with us. We'll be right back.